Let's stay on the offensive side with the offensive line. Another strong point, typically for the Bulldogs. What did you take out of the first 10 sessions plus the scrimmage?
Yeah, I think the biggest story on the offensive line coming into camp was who was going to be the starter at left tackle. Was it going to be Jamari Salyer, who started 9 games at left tackle last season, has a start at right tackle under his belt 2 seasons ago. I think Georgia knows what they've gotten him, but they've also got some incredibly talented guys, 5 stars lined up behind him that could potentially play left tackle, allowing Salyer to bump inside to his more natural guard position. That would be Xavier Truss, Broderick Jones, Amarius Mims. Those 3 guys are really competing for that left tackle spot and have a chance that, if you could have one of those guys play left tackle, there probably are more true natural tackles that would allow the offensive line to look and play, have guys playing in their natural positions, bumping Salyer into guard, and then on the right side at guard, having a rotation of Justin Schaefer and Tate Ratledge. Coming, like I said, that was the storyline coming into camp. Coming out of that first scrimmage, the storyline completely centers around, and the focus completely centers around the center. And I think that's because of an injury suffered by Warren Erickson. He has a hand injury. He's in a cast on his right hand, his snapping hand, and that's a really tough injury to battle if you've got to use your hand like that. Kirby Smart said they've had guys play through that injury, but they've never had a center try and snap with that injury. You can put a cast on and tape it up and play guard or tackle with that injury where you're just, using your hands to block, but it's tough to grab a ball if you've got a broken hand, and certainly tough to snap it and be consistently accurate with that. And you can't afford any slip ups there. So Georgia's kind of battling the injury bug there. Smart feels confident that Erickson will be cleared to play by the Clemson game. It's just a matter of whether he's comfortable to play by that time. He's been, Smart told us that Erickson had the surgery, had the cast put on, and then was immediately trying to snap with his right hand right after that, trying to get comfortable again, and kind of see where things are at. He also has the ability to snap with his left hand, and I think that's something that they're trying out. But I think that more than likely they would prefer to go to someone who's snapping with their dominant hand and very comfortable doing so, rather than playing a guy with a cast on his right hand and snapping with his non-dominant left hand. And so if that's the case and Erickson does miss time and potentially misses that opener against Clemson, you're going to be looking at Cedric Van Pran or Jamari Salyer, who I mentioned has experience at tackle and guard. He's played everywhere on the offensive line, and he's going to be in that starting 5, assuming that he's healthy. And I think that's not a given for Georgia at any position right now. With a physical camp like you've got, you can never just assume that someone's going to be healthy. But if he's ready to go for that and healthy for that Clemson game, he will be in the starting lineup, whether it's at tackle, guard, or center. Van Pran, being the former number 1 center in his class, has a ton of upside, and it wasn't a given that Warren Erickson was going to be the starter. I think he's got the experience. He played the last couple of games after Trey Hill suffered a knee injury and missed the last couple of games of last season. So Erickson played center. He's also got experience at guard. That's one thing that Georgia fans should feel really confident in on this offensive line, is that you're not necessarily looking for the best player at each position. You're looking for the best 5 total. And whether that's, moving someone in from their more natural position to somewhere that they're, not nearly as comfortable. If they're one of the best 5, Kirby Smart and Matt Luke want them out there. And so, with the center position, you're looking at a natural center in Cedric Van Pran that also has experience playing guard, and a natural guard in Jamari Salyer that has experience playing both tackle and center. If he does win the job, and I think it probably, in an ideal world, obviously Kirby Smart would like to have the options of Erickson or Van Pran. Austin Blaskey is also another guy who's been getting some snaps in there at center. I think they want to feel very confident in at least 2 guys for that Clemson game, if not more. And I think they're trying to they're always trying to find guys that can snap the ball and build up that in their repertoire. I think in an ideal world, Kirby Smart, let's say Erickson is out. Kirby Smart would like to be starting Cedric Van Pran at center, which allows Jamari Salyer to play at one of his more natural positions, guard or tackle, where he has the experience, more of his experience at least. He's got starts under his belt at both those positions versus he's got reserve time at center. I think that if Van Pran can win that job, then the focus turns to the left tackle position, and whether or not someone has, one of those three that I mentioned earlier in Truss, Jones, and Mims, whether one of them has emerged as a starter at that position where you can then put Salyer at guard. If one of those guys hasn't emerged, and I will say, I think that if one of those guys is to emerge, my bet would be on Xavier Truss. He's got some starting experience under his belt. He started the Peach Bowl against Cincinnati at left tackle. Former highly rated guy, but so are Mims and Jones as well, former 5-stars there. I think if Georgia can feel confident in that left tackle position, you would like to see Salyer bump inside if you're a Georgia fan and have him playing at a position that he probably has All-American potential at guard. But at the same time, you don't want to have your left tackle, your guy that's protecting your quarterback's blind side, being a question mark, especially against this defensive line that they're going up against. So my bet would be on Salyer playing left tackle in the opener and having Justin Schaefer at left guard and Tate Ratledge at right guard, assuming that Van Pran wins out at center. If not, then it's going to be Salyer at center. It would be my guess, with Truss at left tackle, and again, the guard positions being Schaefer and Ratledge, with Warren McClendon holding down the right tackle position in any of these scenarios. So offensive line, certainly, not necessarily a question mark. There's definitely a ton of talent there. Like I said, a bunch of 5-star guys, a bunch of guys that have All-American potential. But, a storyline that you should be watching if you're paying attention to Georgia camp.